Welcome back to the Teaching Communication Skills course. The content of these slides was compiled by myself, Dr. Leslie Neely, and Dr. Margot Bowles. This module, Introduction to Incidental Teaching, Following the Child's Lead, and Environmental Arrangement, is the second module in the series of 5. Just to note, this work was supported in whole or part by a grant from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, the THECB. The opinions and conclusions expressed in this document are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the opinions or policy of the THECB. So in this module, we will answer the following questions. What is incidental teaching? What does it mean to follow the child's lead? How do you arrange the environment to promote those learning and communication opportunities? And why is it important to arrange the environment? After reviewing the modules, you will have an activity to complete that applies the information learned to your home environment. So we will start with what is incidental teaching. So incidental teaching is a naturalistic communication intervention. It is evidence-based practice to teach communication skills to children with autism. It is characterized by following the child's lead and capitalizing on those learning or communication opportunities that happen naturally throughout the day. So what does it mean to follow the child's lead? When following your child's leads, there's a couple of do's and don'ts. The first do is to identify a good time to join your child and embed communication opportunities. You want to make sure that your child is engaged and motivated to participate in the activity. If they are not engaged or motivated by an activity, it will be tough to encourage them to communicate. So next, you want to get on your child's level and provide a language-rich environment by labeling your child's actions. However, what's important to note here is that if your child only uses one-word responses, you want to model language that is at their level or one level above. So for example, if they can already independently say car, you might model language by saying push car or open door if they can typically only say open. If engaged in play, you want to imitate your child's actions and add to the play. Essentially, you want to act like a child. Finally, provide frequent descriptive praise. So say nice work opening the door versus nice work. Descriptive praise just means labeling exactly why you are praising the child. Descriptive praise is far more effective than general praise, as the child knows exactly what behaviors you are praising. So some things to avoid when following the child's lead include giving any sort of demands. When you are following your child's lead, you want to avoid things like telling the child how to play or giving too many commands for play. Your child is not going to be motivated to communicate if you are constantly telling them what to do. So this includes quizzing your child or asking them questions. Even though this is typically how we as adults play with children, this is not how children play. So if you have an opportunity over the next week, I encourage you to observe how children play. They rarely quiz each other or ask each other questions. They add to the play and take turns. So that takes us to the last one. Don't direct the play or the activity. Allow the child to lead and you to support the activity. So now that we know how to follow a child's lead, we can move on to how to use environment and everyday activities to prompt communication. Using the environment to prompt communication is called environmental arrangement. Incidental teaching uses environmental arrangement to embed communication activities into our everyday activities. So what do we mean by environment? So our environment involves all of our surroundings or settings in which the behaviors occur. It can refer to places, it can refer to the objects that we interact with every day, or the people. And generally, it is a combination of all of these things. So how do you arrange the environment to promote learning opportunities? So we're going to go over 4 methods. First, you can start engaging in play and entice your child to join. You may try to sabotage a favorite toy or sabotage an activity by giving materials for only part of that activity. And finally, you can interrupt an everyday routine. So let's go into detail on each one of these. So to entice play, you first need some of your child's favorite toys. Once they have the toys, you can start engaging in exaggerated play with either large movements such as flying a play really high, making it take a nosedive, or loud play noises. You can also engage in some silly situations in which you do something that the child might not expect you to do. Essentially, you are making the play environment fun. The second, sabotaging a favorite toy, looks at putting favorite items in sight but out of reach. Some easy ways to sabotage are to put the toy in a clear bucket that the child cannot open on their own. You might also remove the batteries from a favorite toy and essentially set up an opportunity where the child needs your help to engage in play. Another technique is to sabotage an activity. This might look like giving your child small portions of an item. For example, only a couple of goldfish during a snack. Or you might only give part of the materials needed to complete the activity, like the partial zebra puzzle. When the child has put all the pieces in and noticed some missing, they will be motivated to find or request the missing pieces. The final technique is to interrupt a routine. If your child has a mastered routine that they do every day, for example, hand washing, you can interrupt the routine to create a communication opportunity. For example, you can put the soap pump out of reach. Or if you generally open the door for your child, you might pause near the door and wait for the communication before opening the door. So now it's time to put our knowledge to action. You will be completing the planning for incidental teaching activity as it pertains to your own child. You will find this activity and specific directions to complete it on the Eli Atomy course page. Thank you for your attention. The following are references for the material presented during this presentation.